Hello, and in this video, I will be explaining how you calculate NPV, net present value, and the payback period for an investment that you are going to make. In the first place, I'm going to give you a brief similar to the one that you will have in the assignment, and then you're going to see, okay, some fundamentals here. And then I am going to put all these values in a template for you to calculate the NPV and answer the questions. But first, let's go for the Word document that I would like to explain. So this is a case study of TLC. It's a company and they produce something. Let's actually say that they produce a device called an RAV. And the board is evaluating whether that is going to be a good investment, okay? So the first thing is to have the investment, okay? And what is the investment? Okay, we're going to make it very simple here, okay? We're going just to say that it's one piece of machinery of £3 million payable on the first day of the new financial year. And as any piece of equipment, it has a useful life and has an annual capacity, okay? Normally, you have to produce under the full capacity. So if it produces 35,000 units a year, of course, you have to produce less, okay? This is what we call installed capacity. This is a part of operations management that you will study at some point. And so does it have any value? Well, we consider that it has depreciated fully at the end of 5 years, so they have no scrap value, okay? That doesn't matter now, but we are in this case is that we are using up the 3,000, we have nothing left, basically. This is what it means, right? So that we're not going to recover anything of that money. We're going to say, well, that money's gone. So we expect the production to be 30,000, okay, RAVs, which is the device that you're going to produce. From year 1 to year 3, you're going to produce 30,000. Remember, you have to produce less than the capacity, okay? The installed capacity, which is 35,000 units. And in year 4, you consider that demand is going to increase, and then you're going to produce more. You're going to produce 32,000. Then you will have production costs. Some of them relate with the direct materials that you will have, the materials that actually, the metals, parts that go into making the device. Then you will have some direct labor, which is people working in the factory, and variable overheads, the electricity, anything related to, let's say, marketing, any other thing that you can think of that is not the materials that go in the device, or the people that work there will be called overheads. That is per unit. Obviously, if it's per unit, 9, 12, 13, that give you 25, 34. 34 is the unit. You know that you have to sell it for more than 34 to have a profit, to have a return. So, and you know that you have also, apart from this variable cost, you have fixed cost. What are the fixed costs? Well, the fixed costs are things that are within the operation. For example, you may have the plant, or you may have, let's say, you may rent a factory, and then you have a fixed cost of renting a factory, okay? Could be anything that is fixed, that it doesn't depend on the production per unit, okay? So could be a fixed production cost. Let's say, okay, that is not the direct labor, the salaries of people in the of management. It could be part of the fixed production cost. Well, it doesn't matter now. You just have to consider that are fixed. Okay, so it's a value that doesn't depend on production. So the selling price of demand, as we use, we have to sell it for more that we are the cost. So we're selling them for 85 pounds per unit. But of course, because of inflation, we think that the price is going to increase 4% annually. We consider that the annual market demand is 29,000 units. okay, you're going to say, well, why would you produce 30,000? You always, okay, in life produce more than you think, because you always want to know whether, if demand increases, we have some buffer inventory to sell, right? This is, I would say, a decision that companies have to make. There is something called just in time, that you techniques in which you only sell or produce close to what you produce. It means there's very little inventory here. But in here, we're going to actually consider that you are going to always have some buffer inventory in case demand increases. Okay, but you are considering prudently that you're going to have 29,000 units of demand. Of course, and the more you have as inventory is money that you have there that you're not using. You have to consider not to have too much of that. So another thing that we need to consider is the money's cost of capital of 10%. You always have to consider the value, the time value of money. So that means $1 today is not the same as $1 tomorrow. $1 tomorrow is normally less, okay? Because you could have put that money, okay, as savings and get a little bit of return. So we're going to consider this is an important number here, that the cost of capital is 10%, okay? And the timing of cash flows, all costs and revenues arise at the end of each year, okay? So this is only convention that, except for the initial investment, which is paid upfront in year 0, okay? So this is normal, this is convention. And then what you have to consider is, what is you are required to do. The first thing is to calculate the net present value for the proposed investment and comment on the result. Comment means, is it positive? Is it positive? Is it negative? If it's positive, you can say, you can go ahead, but you can compare that with other type of investments that you have. Maybe you could have another type of investment in which, but you have 3 million, but you can go for this device, or you can do something else. And then you have to compare. And you have to calculate the payback period, okay? We can calculate the payback period of the project and comment on the result. Well, the payback period, I will actually do that in a separate video, because payback period, it's, and we're going to compare the payback period with the net present value, and we're going to answer question C, okay? Which is analyzing both methods of appraising the investment and say whether you agree with using discounted cash flow method, you're using net present value, or using payback. All right, let's actually now look at what you need to do in the next part. Okay, let's see. I'm going to actually put some values here, and I'm going to share with you. Okay, this is the example that we need to have. All right, the first thing I need to have is the investment, the sales revenues. Okay, I need to know all of this, okay? What the first thing is, okay, to put the quantity, okay, that it's actually sold, okay, that I consider that will be sold. I said, okay, those are the things that I need to fill, okay? So what is the quantity sold, okay? Let's actually say that is the quantity sold, and what is the price, okay? So the first thing is, if you look at the assignment brief that you have, okay, the selling price, okay, is 85, and the annual market demand is 29,000, consistent across 4 years. So you put your 29,000. You go to the right-hand corner and put the same value, so you will have your 29,000, okay, over the 4 years. And you said that in year 1, the price is 85, but that price increases by 4% every year, okay? So how much is 4% of that? So it's 1.04. Okay, if it's 10%, it's 1.10. If it's 20% is 1.2, but if it's 4%, is 1.04. Okay, I can explain, okay, why it is, okay, later. multiplied by the value of 85, and then press enter. You could see that I am increasing the value of 85 by 4%. You can do that with a calculator to see that this is correct. And I don't need to calculate anything else. I go to the right-hand side, and the calculations will be done automatically for me because I'm not changing the values. So it's actually increasing 4% in year 3 and increasing, okay, from the year before. You can see 85, 88.4, 99, 91.94, 95.61. Now, what is the production? Well, I have to see what is the production that I have. Okay, the production that we have, okay, we could see here that the production we said from years 1 to 3 is going to be 30,000, and in year 4, 32,000. Well, I put 30,000 here, my production, which is going to be the same value for the first 3 years, and the last value is going to be 32,000. And then I want to know the materials, the price of the materials, the labor, the rate, and the overheads per unit, which I already have, okay, here, okay? And also I'm going to see whether there is a difference in the production, okay? But I cannot see that there is an increase in production, in prices, okay? Sorry, in cost. We're going to consider that the cost is going to be the same, 9, 12, and 13. So I'm going to consider that there is no inflation. It is a little bit difficult, but we can consider that this is the case. I'm going to say that this is 9. They said that it is 9, 12, and 13. 9 direct materials, 12 direct labor, and 13 overheads. 9, 12, and 13. Okay, those are the values that I have. Well, this is the values that I already have now. I also know that the discounted cash flow is 10%, okay? This is a value that I have to find in tables, okay? I'm going to give you a table where you can find that value, as you can have these values, okay? You can find it in Google as well, but I'm going to put it here in your PV table. And I said that is 10% is the first 4 values. I'm going to copy these 4 values. And I'm going to put them here. Okay, so for year 1, it's going to be 0.909. For year 2, it's going to be 0.826. For year 3 is 0.751. And for year 4 is going to be 0.683. So that means consider with a 10% cost of capital, 10% cost of capital, what I consider is that in 1 year, $1 is not $1, but it's 0.9. And in 2 years, it will be 0.826. In 3 years, you can see how the value of the money loses over time. Okay, what other value I have? Well, the other value I have is the investment. I know that the investment is 3 million. Because it's a cost, I'm going to put it negative. So it's going to be 3 million negative, okay? So the commas are just for you to see that you have the 6 zeros, okay? And what other value I have? I have the fixed cost, which is, I know that it's a fixed cost that is the same as per the assignment. I know that my fixed cost is 300,000 every year, and it's the same. I go to the right-hand corner and I put that is 300,000. So now let's calculate the sales revenues, the direct material that is going to depend on production or on sales. Let's actually calculate first the sales revenues, okay? The sales revenues, how much are we selling, is the price per unit times the number of units. So how many units are we selling? this value here, which is, okay, in this case, you can see how I am highlighting that, multiplied by the price of 1 unit. And that gives me this value here. So because it's going to be the same, this multiplied by this, I simply drag and it's going to give me all the values that I need, right? Now, let's actually calculate the other values. These are costs, okay? Because these are costs are going to be negative, obviously, all right? It's going to be less, okay? So it's going to be deducted, okay? My revenue is positive, but my costs are going to be negative, all right? The scrap value here, it's 0 because I have no scrap value here, okay? So I will have a scrap value 0 here. I have no value. If I had some value, it would be positive, but I have no value here, okay? So, so it will have a scrap value of 0, okay? I will consider it has no scrap value, okay? So, let's actually go for the direct material, okay? Cost of the direct material. Because I said, this is very important, this is Excel, that the value of the cost, it's fixed, it's not changing over the number of years, okay? Then I have to be a little bit careful here. So the direct material is this value here. Is this value here. I press equal plus this value, which is B19, but being very careful to fix the cell. So it's going to be always 9. So how do I actually fix the cell? Well, the best way is to put a $sign on the B so that doesn't move, okay? The column doesn't move, and also it doesn't go down. It doesn't actually move from 19 to 20. So I put a $sign here as well. So I put $2 signs. That will not move. It will always be 9. It will always, okay, get that value of 9. And then the direct material is multiplied. Now it's not by the number that I sell, it's by the number that I produce. It's the production here. So my production is this one here, 30,000. So it's going to be 30,000 multiplied by 9 is 270,000. Even with a calculator, you can do that. And because I have the fixed value and I have the value that I have here, I can just simply drag the other values, okay? And it's because it's going to be 30,000 multiplied by 9. You can see that the first 3 values are the same. But in the last one, is 32,000 multiplied by 9 is going to be 2888. So I'm going to do the same with direct labor. It's going to be this value here. But again, remember, to fix the value, put in the $sign on B and on 20, multiplied by the production, which is this value here, 30,000. Press enter and do exactly the same. Drag this along. It's just going to be that it's going to be 360,000, which is 30,000 multiplied by 12. But then the last year is going to be more because I have a production of 32,000. Then the variable cost, which is overheads, it's actually called overheads, is going to be this value. Remember, again, to put the $sign on the B and then so $sign on the 21 and multiplied by the value of the production, which is this value here. And then drag it across. Okay. Now we have the net present value that I have. Remember, this value is negative. So it has to be negative. Let's actually, and this is a problem here because actually I'm adding, right? I shouldn't be adding. This should be a negative value. This is where I forgot to put the negative value here. It should be a negative value here. This should be a negative value here. Put just a negative value. put a negative value here. So because it's cost, and just put a negative value here. Okay. And then you have the net present value, okay, which is the net present value, okay, after year 4, okay, which you have the net present value to be multiplying this is the same value, multiplying by 1. So the net present value in year 0 is going to be minus 3 million. Eventually, okay, you will be actually getting some value every year. How do I calculate the value? You simply get this, the value that you have here, which is the net cash flow. Remember, the sales minus all the costs give you 1145. However, after year 1, it's not going to be 1145. It's going to be less because of the time value of money. I need to multiply by the cost value of money, which is 0.909, and it's going to give me 1.045. If you want to see how I did it, it's simply this value. This is this value, 1145, which is adding all these values here. How I simply put equal. I can put sum, which is adding all these values from here to here. I repeat, sum, and I get all these values, and you will have 1145. I forget, I can actually omit completely the scrap value because it has no scrap value, and drag it across, and you will have all your net cash flow for the year. And then again, put these values here, 9.0909, which I had before, 0.826, 0.751, 0.683. So you're going to see how it is multiplying that. And what is the net present value? The net present value is simply adding all these values. So initially you have minus 3 million, but you, in the first year, you added 104. So you will be actually getting some return from the 3 million that you had before. Okay, so every year you're getting some value. How do you do that? Well, you add all of these. You add all these values from here to here. I repeat, you put equal sum all these values here from B12 to F12. You can put it here. You can just type, and you can see how it's 1024784. I repeat, should I consider this as an investment I can go through? The answer is yes, because it's positive. Now, if it is a positive, okay, net present value, okay, I just consider, if I don't have any other investment, yes, but I can consider whether I have another type of investment in which I calculate that the net present value is positive and give me 1,500,000. Then I go for the other investment because they are both positive, but one gives me more net present value than the other. And thank you very much. This is the end of this video.